right, well, welcome back to my channel. I thought I had pretty hair before I turned on filming. Okay, so today I'm surrounded by clean clothes. So if you look at my bed and you're like, hey, what's going on there? It's that I have a ton of laundry to do, and I was like, F it, I'll make a video. Okay, so today we're going to talk about exactly what I use with my kindergartner for, now the goal in mind that I have is starting to do college at 12, not an excessive load, concurrently kind of with high school. But I imagine we'll have conquered a bunch of classes at the high school level by then. But anyway, it inspired me, the Brainy Bunch book. I'm almost done reading it. When I've done reading it, I'll do a video on it. But it's like college by 12. Okay, so it's how she did it, and it's pretty cool. So I will talk more about that later. First, let's get to products of the day before I show you the exact. And of course, throughout, I'm going to have products just because they're what I do with my son. So first, I'm going to show you this one I bought for homeschool lesson planning. I didn't end up using it, but I love it. I just didn't use it, right? Like curriculum overview, that's just not how I do my planning. I'm very simple. I'm even simpler than this. Curriculum overview, but I might use it next year. I don't know. So this is the book list, all the books I want to cover and things like that. But basically I have a shelf and I just go through the shelf, and whatever book I want to cover, I pull out. So curriculum progress, which I would never use. And then it's got, because my state doesn't require it, my province doesn't require it, wherever I live, I move a lot. So month of, and this is the overview, your weekly goals and notes. So basically this would be like what I want to cover. This is your schedule, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. What I want to cover during the week, which again, I don't do. I had such high hopes when I bought this. I was like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to fill it every week. Daily details, basically any notes you want to make. Again, such high hopes. Okay, so it's pretty cool. It's the Homeschool Lesson Planning Notebook by, where is it by? I'm sure you've seen it online. School Nest. Okay, by School Nest. So you can find it on Amazon. All right, next up I wanted to show you, this is a tip I have. If you have young kids, this is what they use in some preschools. This is what, if your child's autistic, this helps. This is like the zones of regulation. So you spend 1 week talking about, oh my gosh, you're in the green zone, meaning you're happy, you're calm, you're feeling okay, you're focused, you're ready to learn. But then, oh, when they're mad, oh, you're in the red, you're red. When they're mad and angry, terrified, yelling, hitting, elated, out of control, right? So they are definitely red. And then eventually, once you go through all these and spend a couple weeks working on identification, then you're like, hey, gosh, you're in, like, what zone do you think you're in? Or I think you're in yellow if they're not young, if they're not old enough or they don't have the vocabulary. What can I do to help you get to green? You know, and you can talk about this when you're not regulated, like, hey, or when you guys are calm and everything's relaxed and cool. Like, hey, you know, sometimes when we're in red or we're in yellow, or if I'm ever in blue, what I do to get to green is I can go for a walk. I can sit in that comfy room by myself. I can sit in mom's bed alone by myself if I want and read a book. I can read a book with mom. I can always ask mom for a hug. So things like that, okay? So it's called Zones of Regulation. That's essentially how it is. I think it's a full program, but shocker, don't do the full program. I haven't done it. I mean, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying I don't do the full program. All right, another product of the day, and this might be the last one for this video. This is My America and My World. So there's two different books I was going to show you for history and geography. If you have like a grade 1, grade 2, it's a pretty good book. This is a Becca. So Christian schools use this book. So A, that may not appeal to you because God is mentioned throughout. And I mean, there's another caveat to this. So although a very good program, Becca is good. I'm not saying it's not good. I really like certain things. So it talks about different freedoms. They have like the freedom of the press, the freedom of assembly, and what that means. It breaks it down into very close things, like into very simple things, you know, like My America's flag. The problem is that, so say you flip to here, and this is every morning at school, I stand with my class and do the Pledge of Allegiance. That's one of my problems with a Becca, is that it's not made for homeschoolers, even though homeschoolers use it, is that it's made for private schools, right? So good curriculum, great, and I love it. Very interesting, very simple. I can just read it. While we were eating today, I was like reading through The Bald Ego, blah, 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 and stuff like that, just going through it. So just My America and My World. So I think it's fair. I'm going to talk about another Becca product that I use here. Okay. Oh, there is one more kind of cool product of the day I want to show you. For any Titanic fans, and I'll try to find the link for it, but I got it on Amazon. Now this says www.mempatcompany.com. I'll put that on the screen. That's who made this. I got it on Amazon. It is, look at this. It is for the Titanic lover in your family. It is a whole bunch of different things regarding, so this was like, what's it called when you sent like a transmission, if you will? Like, we have struck an iceberg sinking fast, come to our assistance, position, latitude. So this is what they sent out. I don't know, a telegram, I think it's called. And they have like a letter that someone sent that they had mailed before the Titanic got mailed. Anyway, there's a ton of stuff. There's like a music sheet of music stuff. There's the advertisements that they have. This is like the transcript of registry for the Titanic. So anyway, I put it in this bag here just because I didn't want to lose anything. But it's got like the advertisements, what type of advertisements they had in the Titanic. Now, I have a huge Titanic fan. If you have a Titanic fan, there is a Titanic blanket. There's also the book, Titanic Cat, that is very good. But anyway, there's also a blanket that is not very much money. And I'm telling you, it is the softest Titanic blanket ever. So this is interesting. This is like surpassing the greatest building, like in height. So it's got all these different monuments. And when we lived there, we got to go see that one. And when we lived there, we didn't see that one, but I saw it on the map. So it was just very interesting that it's got then the Titanic there. And the Olympic and the Titanic were actually the same like height and weight, which I found interesting. For some reason, I didn't know that. But anyway, it's got like just tons of stuff on here. The ticket that they would have got, the notice that was sent out of bereavement, like of apology from the line to the people that had died. Like, so it was very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so let's talk about what I use. Now, I waited till my kindergartner was like at the end of kindergarten before we started really getting into stuff because he just wasn't emotionally ready. So we kind of did stuff like very relaxed. Oh, I have a great game for kids his age. Son of a gun. I'll try and get it from next video, but I'm telling you, the kid goes nuts for it. Okay, so let's talk about what. So this was his very first science book. It's not the science I'm continuing with, but this is Discovering God's World. The science I'm using is actually a secular science for older kids. It's very cool. But this, I wanted to introduce God's World. Like, I like how they have God sprinkled out this. Again, this is a Becca. $20 for this. You don't need a teacher's manual for either one of these books here. And what it is, so basically, fearfully and wonderfully made. What I like is like how I take care of my eyes. So it's very basic. So it says kindergarten, but really I think kindergarten's, or no, it says a 1. It's got a 1 up there for grade 1. It's not. I'm telling you, it's like junior kindergarten, kindergarten stuff. If you want to do grade 1, sure, but it's just so gentle. So it talks about, let me show you an example of a page. Now, first of all, these are super simple. So if it ever has an experiment, it's so simple because understand this was made for a classroom, so it has to be able to be reproducible. So God made my hair just as special as my fingerprints. No one else has hair quite like mine. And it tells basically God made you with these specific body parts and these things to protect you. Like for your eyes, he gave you eyelids to protect them from dust. Okay, so things like that. So very gentle. This one covers, I think, like a bit of the world, your senses, a bit of forces, fun with forces. Okay, so now this was the first science reader I did with them. And I would do it like at a doctor's office. I would just, oh, I can't lose those. I would just sit down and we would go through it. Now, next up, this is when we started to really get into science. This is from the science curriculum that I'm going to use with them. These are the little readers. You don't have to get the readers and the curriculum. I just did. But I didn't know that at the time. So you don't have to. So, oh, that's another product I wanted to show you. Okay, so the magnetosphere. All right, so it's got, these are just, and it's super simple. Have you ever noticed a magnet sticking to your refrigerator? So the magnetosphere. The hydrosphere, which is basically, it tells you in here, I think it's all, do you ever play in the rain? I do. So these are just fun readers. This is a lot, how we do science is we read or we watch like mystery science videos, okay? On topics they're interested in. Have you ever watched water flowing in a river? I like to swim in water. And then it's like, have you ever wondered where the clouds get the rivers? Blah, blah, blah. The hydrosphere is made up of all the water on Earth. That's a lot of water. And stuff like that. And yes, that is the voice I use. So it's got a bunch of different books. These are from the same curriculum I use, which is a real science for kids book. That is the science because I want a real strong science program for them. It teaches college age concepts. This is the yellow books, I believe, are geology, is because they have them for all 5 areas of science. Okay, so real science for kids book. These are the readers. When you go on the website, it'll say readers, and you can get them there. They have all different types. But again, if you get the curriculum, so the curriculum's done either kindergarten to grade 4, so I'm waiting to do it. There's 2 types of curriculum. There's one that I've got that you can do every single year, which I don't think we're gonna use that one. Instead, I'm gonna use the deep dive into geology, astronomy, and so there's a big deep dive of everything you need to know from K to 4, and then there's another one from 4 to 8, and whatever. I've done tons of videos on it. I'll explain it to you another time. Okay, back to the curriculum I use every day. Several days a week, as often as I can. So name Lachlan. So we are doing writing and numbers. These are handwriting without tears. The older child would have to do, for example, like 1 whole page a day or something, but the young child's got to do 1 row. And sometimes, to surprise me, he will do all the rows. And that way, so this is like, so here I would say, so this is F, F, and I assume FF. I haven't read it yet. But so for example, okay, let me explain here. So I would say, okay, you have to do all this row today. And then, oh, today you got to do all this row. And it comes with these wooden letters that you can, these wooden bars that you can make into the letter N. You can make it, which, we're not using that. Now, one of the things, the important elements of his reading curriculum is reading eggs. I'm not sponsored. Please, I had to pay like everyone else to get him to use it. And it's just one of the things he has to do. And yeah, I mean, I think it's the best reading app out there. I've tried quite a few. I've tried free ones, I've tried pay ones, and I think it's the best one to get him to notice the letter sounds. So that when he moves into grade 1, we can start actually reading. He does reading eggs on the computer, which teaches him sounds. Every time he does it, it's just something he does. And then we do, I think I brought the wrong pack, but we do the Dolch Primer, the sight word flashcards. So for example, all, and then on the back it's got all, and so he goes through them like real fast now, R, because it's mnemonic, right? It's mnemonic, so he memorizes it. This is how I teach reading. Not a lot of people would agree with this. A lot of people use a different program. I don't do that. My kids are not normal. They're neurodivergent. So when it comes to reading, it's not really their strong suit. So this is how I taught them to read, was doing a combination of this plus the learning the sounds from the reading eggs. I mean, obviously I'm like, for mop and stuff, but reading eggs does quite a fine job. It doesn't even need my help. And then we move on up to a different reading curriculum made for children that are kind of neurodivergent. I've talked about it before. It's the Diane Craft stuff. And it works so well to see my child read. I've also done all about reading, which works fine too. Like, it's not like any other program wouldn't work. I just kind of like to take the easiest, most efficient route. In my mind, the least amount of parent prep route. I'm like, let's do it. Because, let me explain why. Because I want them to pursue their passions. A lot of times we're doing reading, writing, math every day, and the reading and the writing I want them to do in their passion, whatever. So if you ask my youngest child, what are you going to be when you grow up? He's like an engineer that works on robots, he says, a geologist, he says some other days, and a cheerleader. Those are the 3 things that to him, that's what he wants to be. Those are super important. I take it very seriously. So now this is his math, because I did when he was younger, before he hit kindergarten, this is grade 1, but before he hit kindergarten, we did math with confidence. All right. And I wanted something more, he needed something more advanced. So we have this. You can't tell that he's done it, but he has done it. He does do it because, again, writing, he's still working on handwriting. But I know what he means. I know what he's doing. And I'm going through, because he knows all this stuff, I'm just going through to make sure that he does. So he's just advanced in math. So some of the other things we do is creative problem solving, because to me, I think it's important to be creative and come up with creative ideas. So let me show you some. Here, the aggressive bee. The bee is going to sting the boy. Use your magic pencil to draw a solution that does not cause harm to the boy, okay? This is creative problem solving. Now, this is by the Critical Thinking Company. The Critical Thinking Company. You'll find it on their website. I bought all of their critical thinking programs, and I didn't like really any of them, except this one I think is great. So this is the one we do because, again, critical thinking. Now, once he's reading on his own, once he is reading and once he is writing on his own, he will be able every day to deep dive into his interests. For now, I do it. Every day we read together and we read on his interests. So I have showed you in another book. This is the robotic because he is obsessed with robotics. So this is the robotics thing we use. We also use snap circuits. I've showed you in a bunch of videos the snap circuit sets that we've used. I wouldn't say he's outgrown it, but he needs a little more advanced. We do coding, so he does coding on his tablet. He does Inventioneers on his tablet because that is different, like creative problem solving thinking there. So out of the box thinking. And then we do, because he loves geology, where's your geology book? So basically we read, here it is. This is geology activity book, which I haven't started yet. But so it's pursuing their passions. So that's what we spend most of our time doing, is pursuing their passions. So it doesn't seem like work when we're going through the robotics work. The work comes in when he has to sit down and actually do math. It's not that easy for him. Like to sit, right? And so I do have creative ways to do that with him. And the creative problem solving he loves doing. The handwriting he doesn't like doing. So there's a couple of things he doesn't like doing that you got to do every day because, life sucks. Sometimes I have to wash the dishes every day. Do you think I want to? I do not want to. But I try to make the best of it. And because I tell him, like, that's the basis for robotics or for engineering is mathematics. So you have to sit there and know the mathematics. Anyway, that's what I do with him. So to me, it's pretty well-rounded, but it doesn't take that long. Like when you got to do one line a day, because again, he's in kindergarten. He doesn't have to hurry. It's not like there's like a huge rush. You only have a rush if you're putting him back in school. And you'll make up, when kids get old enough, instead of forcing them to learn, when they get old enough, they learn things so much faster. They've done studies, they learn things so much faster. So you don't have to worry if you're like, my child's not getting this. He's not learning this, absorbing it. Yeah, just unfortunately, it sucks, especially when they're little and you want them to be like, okay, let's sit down and do this. And they're like, no. Like, what do you mean no? Like, you're all excited. You have all these, because I've done it, where you have all these junior kindergarten books. And I used to take pages out and did homeschool that way of all the things I wanted them to do every day. And super excited. And you have a kid who's like, no. It's like, mother effer. So now what I do is, I have a list of chores. And, oh, yeah, you want to use the iPad? Hey, I want you to use it too. I want to relax and film videos. So I get it. But we both have work that needs to get done. And no, I didn't do my work today. That's some of my clothes I have to fill. But I will. But anyway, I'm saying is that he's got to do a line of handwriting. He's got to do a couple things of math with me. And you got to read with me. So, but reading doesn't seem to bother him. I pick a time, like I either read while they're eating breakfast, and I read in bed when he first wakes up. So, and there you go. So anyway, I hope that was interesting. I hope you found it somewhat interesting, somewhat helpful. Maybe, I guess I'll give you a quick preview into the robotics book again. So this is like what makes a robot, true or false. There's a bunch of different pages in here. I'm probably skipping some. This is robot bodies. So what type of jobs? Match the jobs with the robot. These are actual robots, match the job in. And then this is, okay, build a robot. You want it to use these things to do, I don't know, whatever. And yeah, so it's robot jobs. So if a burglar alarm, which one of these would they use to go in it, okay? So that's the robotics and geology, which I have not cracked open yet, which I'm kind of excited about. Geological time, about Pangea, which actually my other son loves Pangea, volcanoes. So anyway, if you want to see what I'm working on with my other child, I can show you that as well. What's the use of a rock? So stuff like that. And then plus for geology, we have a bunch of rocks, a bunch of minerals, stuff like that in a magnifying glass. And then we go through and look at it. And we have National Geographic, a big thing, but that's just if if your child is interested in geology. All right. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Can you say, please like and subscribe?
Please like to like.
And hit the bell for notifications.
Hit the bell for notifications.